Today's students are tomorrow's front line. Today's visionaries will become tomorrow's leaders. And today's research will discover tomorrow's solutions. For ourselves, for others, and for our world. Southern Cross University, transforming tomorrow.
G'day and welcome to the National Virtual Expo, and welcome to this session on student accommodation. Before we kick off, I'm on Gadigal land in Sydney. I pay my respects to the traditional custodians of this magnificent land on which I live and work. But maybe to kick this off, can I tell you a little bit of a story? When I went through university, I did a student exchange program and I lived in some student accommodation when I was on my trip. And it was like this old, musty shoebox, this bare brick wall shoebox. And I remember coming back to my home university in Sydney and going to one of the residential colleges there and discovering that it was also a bare brick wall shoebox. And I remember thinking to myself, why would you want to live on campus? But that was like 25 years ago. And all I can tell you is that the world has changed in the most unbelievable way. And to talk about student accommodation, I'm really grateful to be joined by Georgia from Student One. Georgia, welcome to the National Virtual Expo.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
The world has changed, has it not, when it comes to student accommodation?
Honestly, I remember when I was even 15, 13 years ago in university, and it was nothing like it is now. There's apartment buildings and high tech and all of these facilities. And I'm like, oh, when I went, it was, like you said, corridors and brick rooms coming off it. And that was about it, to be honest.
Dark. You know, it was really dark.
Dark. Yeah. No natural light.
Yeah. And so one of the things that, you know, I think that kind of old, grubby, grungy sort of feel actually turned me off the whole sort of like go and move away for university or live near campus sort of experience, because I just didn't feel it. But now, interestingly enough, like having been in higher ed for 25 years, I'm now a huge advocate for people to go and, if they can, like of course it's not for everybody, but if you can, to go and move somewhere close to a university to really be part of that campus and that lifestyle. But anyway, look, let's just dive into what is purpose-built student accommodation. People might see this when they start looking at choosing a uni. PBSA.
Yeah. So essentially, you've got obviously your on-campus accommodations, and there are a lot of your residential colleges, but there's also PBSAs which are either on campus or near campus or in like high flow, high traffic areas like your CBDs and places like that. And essentially, it's just usually independently owned apartment buildings by groups and accommodations. And so you have cluster apartments or you have studio apartments, and they almost provide this independent style of living. So it's a little bit similar to you moving out of home. I view it as kind of like a nice stepping stone of like, I've lived at home all my life. I want this independence, but I've never rented before. I don't have renter's history. But I also want to have that social experience of being at university, meeting people, but still having the safety of a secure apartment essentially. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for that. And it's very much so all-inclusive. So your rent includes your electricity, water, Wi-Fi, all of your facilities, gyms and things like that. So it's a lot more accessible if you're kind of a first time out of home and things like that.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, isn't it? I remember sort of once again when I went through uni, if you wanted to live out of home, you basically took yourself a share house, and there it's quite complicated because somebody's name has got to be on that lease, and then they're basically like
Yeah.
subletting out like rooms and spaces to other people. And it becomes this kind of logistical nightmare of trying to figure out who owes what to whom for what and when. Plus,
Exactly.
one person has to take that responsibility for signing on the lease. I mean, multiple people probably can sign on leases and stuff too. But yeah, when PBSA started appearing, and it's probably the last 10 years that it's really, really exploded off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it has made things a lot easier for students, no doubt.
Oh. And just like a nice landing pad. Like I think whether you're domestic or international, I've found like if you're coming from a different city or remote is a big, big feeder for PBSAs is you're coming to a new city, you don't really know where to live, how close the universities are, working, shopping and things like that. So it's nice to kind of almost have a landing pad, get familiar with the city. And then once you know, oh, what areas are good to live in, which ones should I probably avoid? It's a nice place to kind of go from there, I've found, and like get familiar with your surroundings as well.
Yeah, that's really good. Is it only for students?
It is. So that's the kind of added that, I guess, safety element of you're all kind of studying something. But I think the beauty is you don't have to be limited to one university. So I think that's probably a nice change as you can be studying anywhere. Like we've got students that are studying dance, musical theatre, we've got apprenticeships and things like that, but also your major universities as well.
Yeah, look, and I mean, this session we're talking very broadly about student accommodation, but maybe can we hone in on Brisbane where you guys are for a moment, because I think it's a great case study. And firstly, if you're watching this from overseas or from around Australia, Brisbane, not a word of a lie, is my favourite student city in Australia. You're smiling. You're like, yes.
I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good.
I like not putting this on at all. Like Brisbane and Perth, I just think are the perfect cities for students. They're big enough. The climate is great. You've got culture. You've got lifestyle. You've got exceptional universities. To me, they're just and a better cost of living than Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah, definitely. At this point.
At this point.
Watch it in a couple of years, but at this point in time, it's good. It's very good.
Olympics coming to Brisbane, of course. So let's just hone in on Student One for a moment, because you guys, from what I understand, have got a number of sort of options for students in the middle of Brisbane. But of course, we have a number of fantastic universities in Brisbane itself. You've got UQ, QT, Griffith, plus some other sort of satellite organisations. You have some satellites sites in the heart of the CBD too. So how does that work for a student that's maybe interested to live at somewhere like Student One, but maybe they're from UQ or QT? How does that kind of application process work?
So essentially, the best way I kind of describe it's like booking a hotel. So you just hop on our website, and if you're booking on your own or if you're booking with a group of friends, you just book that process the way. So you work out, okay, which building do I want? And you can filter it that way. And we've got 3, like specifically for us. And then you go, okay, I've now picked my building. What room type do I want? And then you pick that. And then you can then have all the options come up of what rooms are available for the length of stay that you're needing. And then you essentially can book on the spot. You can go, okay, yep, that's the room I want. I'll secure that in now. And then you press accept. We'll send you a letter of offer. And then you can just pay your 2-week deposit, and that secures your room. And as long as you've got a time of check-in, a confirmation of enrollment, you're good to go. It's as easy as that.
That's cool.
No kind of back and forth the way you kind of do with the rental process at the moment. Like it's just very straightforward, and you can have pretty much acceptance if it's smooth and we don't need to double check anything within 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, that's so stress-free. You mentioned rooms, and you said there might be different options. Why don't we hone in on that for a second and talk about sort of different room types for students? Of course, we use Student One as an example, and then maybe we can think, because I imagine it's comparable across some organisations.
Yeah. So essentially and honestly, it's pretty much copy and paste from most of your kind of PBSAs. It's usually just apartment style buildings. And then within that, we have a range of different price points based on, I guess, rooms. So you've got, like for us, we've got twin studio, bunk studio. They're kind of more of your cost effective, where you share like almost like a studio apartment with someone else that you may know or may not know. And then we've got our studio apartments, which those can be single studios, which is just your own little small apartment. You've got your desk, bed, kitchenette, bathroom, and you don't share with anyone. And then we've got our kind of couple rooms. So you could share it with a partner, say you were moving with your significant other or things like that, and only one person for that room needs to be on the lease. The other person can just be a second occupant. And then some of our most popular rooms are our clusters. So we have 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, and 6-bedroom. And the best way I know how to kind of describe them is imagine almost like a share house, but just put it in an apartment form. So it's just a 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom apartment. You've got your own private lockable room that has a desk, wardrobe, bed. We provide all the furniture. And then you have your communal living, kitchen, bathroom, which you only share with that own apartment. So you're not sharing with, 50, 60 other people. It's only whoever's in your set apartment. And if you have 4 mates, I think it's a great option. You can book a whole apartment for yourself. You live together, cook together, and things like that. So it's quite a good setup in that sense.
I really, this last one you've mentioned, I think is perhaps and this is from my perspective, of course, but having spoken to literally hundreds and hundreds of students who've lived in on-campus accommodation or PBSA, this is the one that to me seems to stand out as being the really popular option, because you have that privacy. You got your own personal lockable room, but you still have that kind of co-living vibe as well. And to the extent that I've even met people who've stayed in an independent room by themselves, like complete studio, and at the end of the day they've moved out and been like, actually, I still want to hang out with more human beings, because when you are moving away, it can get lonely there by yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it's that nice option that if there are those people, because sometimes we'll have some older students or things like that want to be kind of a bit more studious, or they're studying intense degrees. So the single studio is completely for them. Sure. But then there's others that are like, I'm moving from Cairns and I know nobody, and put me in a share apartment with other like-minded people so I can make friends, because I don't know anyone in Brisbane and things like that. So I think it's a great option, kind of having the two, which is, in my opinion, probably what I would have done. I would have been like, chuck me in a cluster. Let me make some friends.
Let's tick off the one that might make people a bit anxious. What happens if something goes wrong? What happens if you end up in a shared sort of space, with someone, and you're just like, okay, this is just not working out for whatever reason? What happens then?
So there's a few kind of steps that you can we've got property managers and assistant managers on every single building. So each building has their own. And so it's a little bit more accessible than, say, if you're in a private rental and you kind of have to book in a call or something with your property manager. For us, you can just pop down to reception and go, hey, this is what the issue is. And obviously with all natural, it does happen every now and then. But because what I found when I came here is because we own all 3 buildings, if you say had an issue, you can easily, as long as we've got the availability, do a room move within either the same building or one of our other buildings, and it doesn't have to be classified as a break lease or anything like that. And you kind of have that almost way out within still staying in the student accommodation and where you feel comfortable, but not having to be, I guess, locked in per se to that exact room should you have any issues.
That's a great security, I think. I mean, once again, if you're in a private rental, you're kind of stuck. You got to know where to go.
Yeah. Oh, you're like that. Unless you break lease, that's you for the next year or 6 months.
Whatever it is. That's absolutely right. And let's jump on something else that I think makes people anxious. In fact, it's not just I think. The research shows the number one thing that prospective students are concerned about when they go to university is, am I going to make friends? Am I going to make friends? Can we jump into that and talk about like the lifestyle, the kind of community inside purpose-built student accommodation?
Yeah, so we have a lovely lady who oversees all of our events, and we call it residential life. So her whole job is literally to just make sure people make friends. So she'll put on events and do different networking events, do different cultural dinners, breakfasts, all of these things that are all included in your rent, and with the sole purpose of come eat some food, make some friends, or come do yoga, we'll bring in a yoga instructor, or come, we'll do puppy yoga. That one's one of our most popular ones. And suddenly you're bonding and making friends with people who are like-minded. And then I think to further that, we did a survey last year and we were kind of looking at kind of the data we got back, and they're like, we love the events, but I'm still struggling to make some friends sometimes. So we've found this app over that's in the UK, and we've partnered with them and brought it in this year. And it's called Going.
Yeah.
And essentially, yeah, it's been incredible. It's almost like a social media platform for our students, but essentially when you become a student, you get a log on, you can log in and you can make a little profile about yourself saying, I'm Georgia, I love good coffee, I love to eat, I love to go for running. And then suddenly you can see all of these people's profiles who could literally live on the same floor as you, that you've never met before, and you can connect with them and go, hey, I love running too. Do you want to go running? And so then there's people have made groups of like, I live at Elizabeth Street, or I study at UQ, I'm studying nursing, runners group, food group. And so that's kind of been this extra step that I've witnessed of like people are going, oh, like I can connect a little bit more comfortably in this younger generation that love connection over virtual, because it's what everyone's doing these days. And so it's like, oh, okay, if that's the way you find friends, let us meet you there. Let us help you kind of give an extra tool of like, your best friend could be 4 floors up and you don't even know it yet, but now you can kind of scope out different interests and things like that. So I think that's been something I've witnessed in this role of like, you're not just fending for yourself per se. It's not like, here's an apartment building, you don't know anyone, good luck to you. It's like, here we get more than 30 events a month, if not more, wow, of like, here, come and meet people, come and eat good food, or be open to different cultures. Like on the weekend, we had a Japanese dinner. So all of the Japanese students that we had on exchange and things like that can be like, oh, this is a part of my culture. Come and taste the food, come and see the different paintings and artworks and things like that. So it's a really special thing that she does, and she does an incredible job at it as well.
That's so cool. It's making me want to go back and be a student again, because it's, meeting people and exploring these different, exploring different cultures and opportunities, and this is such a key part of the uni experience. And so to have that built in, not only to your uni experience, but built into your like residential after hours experience as well, just to me really takes that kind of how am I going to make friends anxiety and dials it all the way down, because you've just got so many different connection points that allow you to connect in and meet people that you'll actually get along with.
Oh, and make friends for life all around the world. Like that's the coolest thing I've seen is like, there was a shared apartment last year, and there was one from Townsville, one from Toowoomba, one from Canada, and then one from, I think it was like London. And they all spent Christmas in London with the friend that they met in their shared apartment. And they've got friends for life and accommodation, honestly, all around the world, that it makes it that little bit richer of an experience, if that makes sense. Instead of it just being, I've gone to uni, I've got a degree. It's like, I've also got friends that I can carry with me for life as well.
Yeah, it becomes like the full uni experience. That's what I think is awesome. So let's just think about then facilities and the like. So you've talked a little bit. Actually, let me just go. Very practical question. So do students have to cook at all? You mentioned like meals and stuff being included, but is that for everyone or?
Yeah. So each room, no matter what room type you're in, will have a kitchen of some sort. And so it is self-catered. So you do have to learn to cook for yourself, which I think some people eventually get the hang of. I think if you've kind of grown up and mum and dad do all your cooking, it's a bit of a culture shock at start. You're like, what do you mean? They did so much for me, I didn't even realize. But we do obviously do those community dinners and breakfasts kind of once or twice a week, so that there is that extra touch point of you don't have to cook all of your meals for you. We can help out. And obviously being so centralized, I have noticed a lot of the students do love to take advantage of the close proximity of restaurants and Uber Eats with the free delivery because it is so close. So I'm sure they're studying and that's why they can't cook and things like that. But it's definitely, the ease of access is definitely there for that if needed too.
And it's absolutely one of the highlights, I think, of like living in the middle of a great city like Brisbane. Incredibly safe city, but fantastic eating options all over the place. From
Arts.
your kind of street van kind of van food right up to fancy pants restaurants for the special occasion. There's
Yeah.
just heaps of options. So learning the skills to cook, very handy skill for the future, ladies and gentlemen. And mums and dads who might be watching along this, you don't have to train your children on that. They'll figure it out for themselves. It's student accommodation.
YouTube will help them. YouTube will help them.
Yeah, that's so true. And so then outside of that, like
Yeah.
what about other sorts of facilities that are available in a PBSA?
Yeah, so for us, like we've got gyms in all of our buildings. So that kind of is that extra point. You don't have to go buy a gym membership. You've got one there should you choose to use it. And then for us, we've kind of, because we've got the 3 buildings, we've found that we can kind of spread out the facilities and then just give all students access to all 3 buildings. So that's been kind of something we've found works quite well. So like one of our buildings will have a pool, but the other 2 don't. But your key card will automatically come with access
cool.
to the pool. So then we've got rooftops at some of the buildings. 2 of the buildings have cinema rooms. All of them will definitely have study breakout spaces as well. And I think that's the thing that probably shocked me the most once I came into kind of PBSA world is the amount of spaces that you can have outside of your room. So I think they've done a really good job in planning and designing the buildings that it's like you have your space, you've got your room, but that doesn't have to be your sole place of living and dwelling. It's you can live there, sleep there, but then you can go 2 floors up and there's a whole study floor, or you can go down to the cinema room and relax there rather than feeling I'm in this tiny little apartment and that's all I've got. So I think that's been really nice seeing kind of all those different facilities come together and watching, I guess, students use them and going, oh, like I can actually build a routine and go down to the gym. And then on Wednesdays, I go to the pool and I do some laps and things like that. So it's been really nice kind of watching them take advantage of the facilities that are readily available to them that maybe none of them have had a pool before or a rooftop where you can have a barbecue and have people over and things like that.
Yeah, that just sounds like an awesome experience. Actually, tell me this. So if study spaces, if sorry, let me. Oh God, come on, brain, wake up, brain. Guests. Let's say you're working on a uni assignment, you're doing group work, you need to work on something together. Could you invite that group to come to your facility to actually work on? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we've got like different breakout rooms with like big whiteboards on them. Like the one I'm sitting in currently has like one of those kind of option that you can connect your laptop through HDMI and it plays up on the screen. So there's so many different spaces that it's like, oh, we can actually study as a group or do a group presentation without having to be at uni. So it kind of gives that leverage of like, come over, we could do a barbecue for dinner in the rooftop and then we can go down to the study room, book the study room for 2 hours and grind out there if needed as well. And because you've got the 24/7 kind of, we're open 24/7 because it's someone's home, you've got that space that's not worried about like traveling back after being at the library late at night and things like that.
Yeah, that's a reassurance.
Which
And,
is
and you
great.
already mentioned that there are on-site staff, so that if you do need
Yeah.
something, if you do have an emergency, then you do have a port of call too.
Exactly. And so it's like all 3 buildings each have their own on-site staff during the day. And then we have night managers at all 3 buildings as well. So it's that little kind of added level of security of like, there's always somebody there should you need it and things like that. It's not like you're fending for yourself completely. You still have the independence if you want it. But if you do need that backup support, there's always a staff member on site, which is nice, I think.
And I think that's a great reassurance, for the parents who are maybe letting their kids off, to go to uni and they've never lived away from home before. That's a great reassurance knowing that they're somewhere where they do have that additional support. Because I don't know about you, Georgia, but certainly, I've been travelling all over the world, and sometimes, like, you feel like you need a little bit of support, even if it's just someone to talk to. Having someone there just makes you feel a little bit more secure.
Oh, exactly. And just like even going, hey, where's a good place to eat breakfast? Or where's a good coffee shop? Or hey, I don't really know, I'm not familiar yet with the buses. Like, can you just point me in the direction? Or like my tap broke, like how can I fix it? So it's just little things like that that I think you probably don't think about when you're booking places to stay and live. And then you get there and you're like, oh, thank gosh, there is like that little bit of added support should I need it.
Yeah, nice. this is a very, very like micro question, but Brisbane's really
Yeah.
humid. Aircon? Is aircon included?
Yes. In all of our buildings, we have aircon, thankfully. I don't think I could live here without it. I did one rental personally without aircon, and I swore I would never do that ever again. So I was very honestly shocked and impressed, just like even when I came to the company, that I was like, oh, great, you have aircon in all of your rooms, no matter what. So I think it kind of helps if you've come from a climate that isn't as humid as Brisbane, you'll be definitely fine. Aircon, and then the fact that it's all included in your rent, you can run that baby 24/7 and your rent stays the exact same. So I'm like, run it. Honestly, sleep with it on every night if you need to. Whatever gets you through.
Yeah, yeah, nice. Um, so now, what happens like if somebody has been renting through, say, Student One in Brisbane, and then they want to go off
Yeah.
and get their own rental somewhere else. So this is a little bit of
Yeah.
a technical question, but being an old bloke and knowing about life in general, like getting that first
Yeah.
rental experience on your it's not really your resume, but getting your name on a rental experience is an important one. So does this kind of experience count towards that kind of rental history?
Yeah. So because we're bound as PBSA under the RTA, especially in Queensland, it means that you can use us as a rental reference. So you could live here for a year, meet some friends or people move from wherever you're from, and you can then go get a private rental and you can put us down as a previous renter and you've now got rental history at the age of 19, 20. And it just really gets your foot in the door. I know it probably doesn't sound that
Yeah.
exciting if you're currently in school and you're like, what do I need renter's history? But as someone who is in the rental market, it will be your greatest little advantage and kind of just helps to have it if you can have
Yeah,
it.
definitely. Um, What? Oh, so actually, a quick couple of thoughts. Firstly, because we're just thinking about that kind of
Mm,
meals thing. If you're desperate to have your meals
mm,
provided, many universities will have like an on-campus residential college where all inclusive, like meals are all included. If that's
yeah.
definitely one of your criteria, that's probably the option you want to go and look for. Obviously, we've talked about the other option down the other spectrum, which is like independent rentals, like
Mm,
free for all in the rental market, fighting every Joe Blogs and his dog for a rental, finding people and coordinating.
yeah.
Or PBSA kind of sits in that sweet spot, kind of in the middle. And once
Mm,
again, folks, I don't want to feel like I'm just pitching this. This is like literally just 25 years of experience. It's not going to be for everyone, but it just really is a great option
yeah.
for the right kind of student. Um, but
Mm.
what else? Like, what else do you guys get asked a lot, or as when people are inquiring about coming to stay with you?
I think the other one, probably our most asked question beyond if we cater food and beyond will I make friends, would definitely be if we have parking.
Oh,
Um, because there, it's a big, especially if if they're coming from kind of your Sunshine Coast or Toowoomba kind of areas where you're close enough that you could drive, but it's a little bit too far. But there are places that sublet car rentals, but I mean like car
yep,
spaces. But what I found is being so centralized in the city, and a lot of PBSAs are, is you're kind of on those main public transport lines anyway. And so you could have a car, but honestly, I don't even know if you would use it much because everything is so accessible. And you can just walk down to Coles or walk to Woolworths or catch the ferry to UQ if you were studying there or the bus to QUT or Griffith and things like that. So it's a lot more accessible, actually, I think, even without a car than if you had your car and kind of maneuver in car parks and things like that. So it's definitely probably one of the most asked questions I think we get as well when people are booking and things like that.
yeah. And sorry, those people who aren't in Queensland probably don't know
Mm.
that there are 50-cent public transport fares in
It's
Queensland.
stomach.
It's unbelievable. And so, like, you might go, oh wow, that's kind of cheap. But you do the maths on that, like how much time you spend on and off public transport. I did some calculations earlier during the expo, and it was like thousands of dollars that can save you in a year if you're doing a big commute. And ladies and gentlemen, like thousands of dollars, if you need to earn that money, that's literally hundreds of hours, or 100 hours that you need to spend working, right? Earning that money. Once again, Brisbane, just saying, like, freaking awesome. For students, freaking awesome.
Oh, and as someone who, like, I catch the bus to work now and it's $1 return trip, and you're like, I couldn't even drive for that cheap. It would get me 100 meters down the road and I've spent that on fuel, so it's, especially in this crisis at the moment. So I'm like, it's definitely, it makes it so much easier, especially getting around the city too, and affordable. So
Georgia, this has been such a great conversation. Excuse me. Thanks for joining me. Firstly, ladies and gentlemen, so we've run out of time for sort of any kind of live Q&A. But if you do have any questions, or if you're watching this on the recording, you can ask any questions you've got in the Choosing Your Uni Discord. Details in the description below. If you're a parent, we have a Facebook community just for you down below as well. And every single question, whether it's sort of specifically honing in on Student One and what they offer in Brisbane, or more broadly about student accommodation, or the like, we'll make sure that every single question gets an answer. So please make sure you use that as an independent place for you to ask your questions. But Georgia, thank you so much for joining me at the National Virtual Expo. Lastly, like, where do people find out about Student One if they are moving to Brisbane and they're looking at that as an option?
Feel free to find us on our website. It's just student1.com, or we've got all your social medias. You can kind of see at different parts of our events and things like that and learn a bit more. We do tours of rooms. Or if you want to come and see us, you're welcome to come to any of our buildings, book a tour online, and it would probably be me that actually shows you around. So I would love to meet you and show you around.
Thanks for joining me at the National Virtual Expo, Georgia.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, I hope you got something out of this session. And if you have any questions at all, you can head to choosingyouruni.com and ask Lumen. Lumen is your AI guide who knows about every university, every pathway, every option that we've talked about throughout this virtual expo. And Lumen is available to talk to you 24/7. So it's ready when you are.